in New Zealand, we're right in between two massive wind jet streams. So we have the potential to be influenced from the south, from the Antarctic Ocean, and from the north, from the tropic.
From COVID time, and here, when I heard once something happened, every single channel pages start talk about that in a way that this is kind of, it's very dangerous stuff. It is dangerous. We don't say we don't, but then they forget the social aspect. They forget that there's a humor, fun. There's kind of now is the time to put more other programs to make families engaged, to make people in home to look at those cool stuff.
Hello to everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast at Aroha. This week is Youth Week, so shout out to everyone. And small promo on the 24th of May. That's Saturday night. We're running Youth Cultural Night. So everyone show up. It's at Vic Uni, 6 p.m. Lots of cultural performances, free food, free tickets, great vibes. Just be there.
Feel free to dress up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And today's podcast, we're joined by Kodrian and Oscar.
Kia ora.
Yeah. So
Kia ora. How are you feeling?
feeling pretty good. No, pretty under the weather though. Like I think the weather's had taken its toll on me. It's been pretty.
It's been getting a lot colder and a lot windier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And have you definitely witnessed it the last week or two when it was the big storm?
The code red, absolutely. I was keeping close eyes on that for sure. As a climate scientist from uni, I was pretty interested in all the dynamics that were kind of lining up to make that a red weather event. Because Wellington was pretty windy at the best of times, but that was like next level windy.
Right. You know what was funny? In that morning, we were telling to the team, hey, should we do the podcast this evening or not? Then you start sharing with us, okay, the wind can come from south and the north and planning and say, oh man, I just say good morning.
Yeah, it was straight out the gate.
That was good, It was good explanation. We have someone like you, to talk about the wind and then. And also the other funny thing happened that day. My brother told me to pick up my niece.
Oh?
Yeah. So I went to pick up my niece. She's very, little. I'm just 7 years old. And I told her, oh, you will fly. She said, no, don't worry about me. Worry about you. I said, oh. But I told her, I will not fly. I'm a big guy.
The winter weight is important, not only for winter, but for the wind as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, guys. So how was that experience for you? And what was the reaction for all these changes?
Kind of just used to the Wellington weather. Didn't really affect me until I looked outside and I saw my fence and it just fully collapsed. Completely fell over.
Did it collapse in one go, or was it like a slow collapse over the day, or just like poof?
I don't know. I just I don't look at my fence too often.
No more fence when you looked at it.
I just looked at it and it was one part of it just fully was fell over and then the rest were gradually falling over.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just a little spiral down. Yeah.
The wind was crazy. I was definitely I was pretty nervous leading up to that event. I wasn't sure how bad it would have been. I was looking at the wind speeds, which was 130 plus, which was crazy. And then Met Service issued a wind warning and a rain warning. And then they mentioned heavy swells. But we had 12-meter waves off Lau Bay. That is massive waves.
Yeah. Can I? Wait, just as someone who's nowhere near in the know of weather as you, what were the certain things that led up to this being such a significant weather event?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. There's a few things. So our weather at the moment is being governed by high pressures. So in New Zealand, we're right in between two massive wind jet streams. So we have the potential to be influenced from the south, from the Antarctic Ocean, and from the north, from the tropic areas. So when we have highs and low pressures have different impacts on New Zealand. The wind flow around them is different. Whether they go up or down is different. So in this event, we had a high on the eastern side of New Zealand, and we had a low in the middle of New Zealand, and then we had another massive high on the other side of near Australia, right? So because we had these two massive highs, both spinning in their own way, this piece in the middle just got so much room and so much energy to spin. And once it started spinning, like if the mic is Wellington, then it just lined up that all of the winds were just funneling straight into Wellington and up from Christchurch. Like it had 2 or 3 days of just constantly building into this area. And like the highs on each side were both really powerful. So as they spun, it gave this more energy to spin, and it just all whipped it up right on the Wellington coastline. So that's part of the reason why it was particularly bad, because we get a lot of wind here in Wellington. I'm sure every Wellingtonian knows about that. But it was just the lining up of those circumstances so perfectly onto the Wellington coast that it was just directly southerly onto the coast for so many days and such high wind. Like to have 100+ wind, like kilometre an hour wind for more than a couple of hours at a time, that's moving a lot of water in our direction. So that's why the swells were so high. That's why Eastbourne got flooded, Lower Hutt had a hard time, Lau Bay had a hard time. Yeah. I'm glad it was just your fence, bro. I'm sorry that it was your fence, but I'm glad that it wasn't worse than that, you know? Like that could have been really bad.
Yeah.
So I have something like, after seeing this, are we ready for more of this?
In short, probably not as ready as we could be. We're ready in the sense that we've got, like, NIWA does really good long-range forecasts, and we've got a sense of what the weather will look like and how it will behave. But then, more than surveillance, I think we could adapt more to have more resilience, either socially, that we communicate more and we know how to respond if we do go into a code red, but then also like infrastructurally, like we could build the city in a way that is more resilient to wind or gives the water somewhere to go. So I think there is more that we could do to be more resilient.
Right.
What do you guys think we could do to be more resilient?
Climate action.
Climate action? Yeah, no, that's strong. I'm thinking just more from like my personal little view. I feel like when the weather gets that bad, it's just a bit like isolating. Like, you know, the sun's not out, you can't go outside, and it's just like, how do I hang out with my friends?
Yeah.
And you just kind of like trap yourself in a room. And I think that could be something that I'd want more. Like, just like open spaces that are protected from the wind.
Right, yeah.
Like common spaces together and be, so you don't have to weather it out alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it did feel kind of like a COVID relapse, eh? Like everyone's like, all right, I'm back at home, I'm not going out at all.
Yeah.
Right. Because it took actually 2 or 3 days, kind of like. So that was really too much. While, you know, it's also Youth Week, but if we talk about the mental health, how it's impacting the people,
Absolutely.
it gets sometimes crazy because that other thing, you know what I was thinking about, all those homelessness.
Being homeless with
no.
winds like that, and it's so
it's
cold
kind of,
too.
You know, where to go. But then there was a good news. I saw some posters like a wonderful organization like Wellington City Mission and others who've been doing their part, you know, to rescue and help. That's cool to see.
That's amazing.
But it's kind of when you also talking about, you know, in isolation and things, you just remind me when such a weather. So people, where to go? What is our option inside, right? Because all what you hear is stay inside. And then suddenly social media and all of it, everything has just become a warning. Warning, no, there's attention things. So people forget that there's something else, that the people need to relax from this scary idea. Or just, you know, warning is good, but I think what I saw in terms, this is, here's the thing, I'll come from perspective, this is from COVID time, and here, when I heard once something happened, every single channel pages start talk about that in a way that this is kind of, it's very dangerous stuff. It is dangerous, we don't say that, you know, but then they forget the social aspect. They forget that there's a humor, fun, there's kind of, now is the time to put more other programs to make families engaged, to make people in home to look at those, you know, cool stuff.
And there's knowledge and skill sets that can be activated and employed in those situations.
That's the thing, like a kind of advice sharing more. Hey, what do you do when you are just stuck in home and there's like no movement and stuff? Kind of share with them how you can like suggest some good games or suggest some stuff that could be done in that kind of environment. I would see more this kind of content because that will help me. Okay, great. There's a weather, whatever is going on, right? I'm staying home. But actually, there's someone gave me some idea or some games that could be good to use in those 2 days.
I think that's a great idea. Like, I was pretty surprised over that event of the kind of communication around the event. Like, I saw Met Service issued some warnings, but then I didn't hear anything from like our local leadership, or like they were like code red, get home. But like, what if people had work? Like, do they go to their shift or do they stay at home? And then like, how do businesses respond to that? And then like, I think there needs to be more of a distinction between like our roles in peacetime and roles in emergency time. Like, is it just the same thing? Do we just hunker down, or do we have to do something differently? Do we respond differently to those sorts of situations? And if we do respond differently, then how do we respond differently? Because there's I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but whenever there's a natural emergency or a civil defense disaster, each community is expected to last up to a week on their own before they get external support. So, like, we're lucky that we didn't have to be locked down for a week after this wind event. But this was a relatively small wind event compared to the scale of how big wind events could be. And if we were to, be in a really big disaster and the city gets locked off and our resources get spread and all our skill sets need to get activated, then how do we coordinate that? Because I don't know if that understanding is widespread through the community. Have you guys heard about that much in terms of the civil defense preparation, or like our responsibility if there is an emergency?
That's right. I think we heard about it, like, but I mean, maybe not very, let's say, too much about exactly know where to go in my area or community. The other day I was just doing this because now I'm seeing too much of these kind of events. Now I know where is the place where evacuate for my neighborhood, which is good. There's a nearby school. So those information, you know how the things, you will not go search and know about it until you hit by this issue, or until when it's the moment. That's a little bit too late.
Yeah, it is a bit too late, eh?
Or if it's just too late, you are in there. Maybe because you face power cut, what we see also from this one in many parts of Wellington.
Big power cuts,
That. So then what other things, ideas come to my mind? Okay, do we have our box of emergency ready? Which is, could be for earthquake situation, these kind of storms, or any other climate actions that we can, climate issues we can face, right? So, but that's good about like community. No, I don't think we were just ready to have that, to know more about how and who to reach out when it's come up. Some basic one, but there's a pressure, on the system.
Absolutely.
But it's important to know your neighborhood and the place where you live.
I think it's super important to know your neighborhood and to know your area where you live. Absolutely. I think it's also worth mapping out, like, if there was a emergency, then this one is the one I would go to. But if I can't go to this one, then where else do I go? Because that's a really big question. Absolutely.
Right.
You mentioned your evac gear or your evac bag. Can I ask you guys, like, what top 3 things you both would have in your evac kit? Like, I need to grab that bag. What's in it?
Can I do some search there?
Yeah.
Do you have that one?
I think probably my number one thing would be water.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, just like a bottle of water. I like completely separate from this, but I know we all got these like massive water tanks at home. For like civil defense reasons. And I was wondering, like, do you reckon wind could tip that over? And like, what happens when wind tips that over?
I think keep it, like, store it in a place to like keep that in mind for sure. Because I mean, unless it's like a really really big water tank, then like the wind can pick cars up. Can pick like it can pick, depending on how strong it is, it can pick up some pretty serious weight. So if it is just like, that's why one of the things that like Remo and civil defense people say is like, clear all the debris in your garden, like if you've got rubbish, clear it. If you've got like trampolines, strap it down, or outdoor furniture, strap it down. Like all of those debris sort of things, they can totally go flying. So if you've got water like storage, I'd try and keep them out of the wind for sure. But that's a really good shout. I'd say water's a really big one.
I think for me it would be water, clothing.
Nice.
I reckon that I'd keep that on me. I'd keep like lots of layers on. And then still probably my phone.
I think phone's a
yeah,
big shout.
Yeah.
Charger.
Charger. Yeah. True.
Charger.
True.
Or charge them on the night before you lose them.
Ideal. Otherwise, a phone with no battery is like
It's not quite
Yeah.
useful.
chopping board.
A little fire starter.
Yeah. Exactly.
What about you, Kojo? What's your kind of top three?
I think it's similar. Maybe it's just water, the number one, and which is radio. But now radio is the phone. To hear the news or just to communicate, like something to communicate with the outside world, whatever.
That's a good shout.
I think there's two. The third one is just to not forget myself.
Yeah.
Running.
Head, shoulders,
Keep
knees,
going.
toes. All right, we're good.
Just take my.
Nice. That's super important.
Well, tell us, you are the expert on this.
Still learning all of these things. Absolutely. I think clothes is really important. I think water is really important. I'd probably add. I think communication is really important. Like the radio is really good shout. I'd try and have like maybe a length of rope just in case like I need to lash a stretcher or like rope is really useful. Non-perishable like food items is like if you can store those, it's worth storing those. And also like electrolytes, like either like Powerade sachets or even Raro sachets. Like in an emergency, that sugar and salt your body will help like respond so well with those things. And like salt and water is one of those things that if your body gets deprived of those things, it starts to function worse and worse. But I think those sorts of like grab and go things are good to keep an eye on. But I think it's like if we were to grab that, then like what are the next things after that? Like we take this and we go here, and then try and respond as a community. I think, but try and connect with other people as much as possible, because dealing with that on your own would be a lot.
Absolutely.
I was pretty surprised that in the red level life-threatening wind vent that they didn't say anything about like stay away from external windows. I've heard that said in other places that like external windows that get hit by the wind have the potential to shatter. So like all those people who are staying inside, if that were to happen and they like all these broken glass everywhere, and it's like how do we actually deal with that? Like who do we call for that? Where do we go for that? Like how do we even respond to that? I think we need to chat about that.
We need to build some resilience as a people, right? That's something like we need to know how to manage the panic. And so that's where I think what was cool, it's if we all come from different backgrounds, right? So different stories. If I share here like why we talk a lot in this platform about refugee backgrounds and experience and things. So we can learn from the challenges they've gone through the war, through the hardships, that kind of resilience have been built into facing those biggest ones. When you lose a home, when you be in a very tough situation, how you can survive or how you can just find the way control, then you still have a way to life and a hope. These kind of stories, I think, that play a big role into encouraging whole community here in Wellington, that how we can build resilience to any kind of panic issues when it's coming out. If it's weather or if it's non-weather as well, how we can stay resilient, how we can also stay united, strong together. So I think we need to increase that, because like you said, the wind has been broken, it's broken, there's no one come to fix you that day. There's something needed to do. How you to protect the family, and this kind of life survival, there's other things you can do. It's kind of self-relying. What I do, because if we don't know this, then we get into other problems, diseases, sickness, and etc.
Oh, absolutely. I really hear you about the refugee and migrant background people in our communities who have a lot of that experience, who have survival skills and mental health resilience that they can totally offer. Absolutely. I think from a New Zealand side of things, to better help support refugee and migrant communities who come here, I think we should give them more information or more understanding about what to expect about our environment. We're lucky enough to be blessed by Antarctica here, but that comes with chilly winds.
Absolutely. So, Ange, how's it going? We have 2 minutes. You want to finish us with something? So for this podcast.
Yeah. I just I just want to say to everyone here and like everyone out there, like stay warm, stay safe.
So winter.
Yeah,
Stay
yeah.
dry, stay connected.
Dry, stay
Yeah.
dry,
And come to our
yeah, Youth Week event on the 24th.
24th of May.
24th of May. Oscar, will you be there?
I'll be there.
Yeah, Kodrian, will you be there?
Of course we'll
Yeah,
be there.
exactly.
Are you gonna be
got-
there, Ange?
I will be there. You got all three of us there, so make sure to show up. Bring all your friends, and just be ready for an amazing night. Thank you to everyone that's watched this podcast, and thank you to Oscar and Kodrian
Thank
for
you,
being
Ange.
here with me. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Cheers.
Thanks so
Ka
much.
kite.